Yes, hope you're enjoying staying on the South Australian Sports Show. Time to get that man who knows all about the AFL. Bevan Jones joins us with his tips. Bevo, how are you?
G'day, Smythe. I won't say g'day, Poppy, because he's missing in action today.
Well, mate, not only is he not on the interchange bench, scrub, completely off the team, mate. He blew a fuse last week, so we've had to bench him. He's been suspended. It's a bit like Tommy Jonas, mate. Bit of hip and shoulder, get a couple of weeks off.
Yes.
Just on that, what did you think? I mean, we're a week out from the finals. It was reckless at best.
Yeah.
Once he made contact with the head, he was gone. His previous record's not going to help him.
Yeah.
So he's given 2. The club's taken 2. He could have appealed and risked 3, but he misses a game against the Suns in the first final.
Yeah, it's not ideal, is it, for Port? But I think, yeah, like I said before, the action from last year where he hit Gaff, I think that sort of really cost him in the end. And I was hoping for maybe 1 week off, but yeah, 2, probably the way they've sort of seen it, and the incident with the elbow up and that sort of thing, they don't like that. So I thought, as soon as I saw the incident, I'm like, oh yeah, he's in a bit of trouble. So,
he was in a lot of trouble. If you were coaching, if you were sitting in Ken Hingley's seat or Vossi, lady, one of the assistant coaches, I mean, they tried to say it was innocuous. I think they were doing the best they could to try and water it down. But what would you say to him on Monday?
Yeah, I'd just say keep on playing the way you are, because he's naturally, hard at it. And whilst these incidents happen, it's just, there's no point trying to curb the way he plays, because he's been such a good defender this year for Port and one of their key defenders. And obviously they'll miss him like next couple of weeks, but they have got other guys that can step in. Homch is playing some good footy in the SNFL. Trengo, of course, can play back as well and play forward. So yeah, they've definitely got the options there to, to back him up. So.
All right, let's get on with it, mate. 11 into 8, it just doesn't go, no matter how you dress it up. It's an amazing weekend of footy that we're in for. Friday night, Hawthorn in 12th spot, Bulldogs in 11th. It's at Etihad. Bulldogs are still a sniff to get in there. 2 of the greats, Luke Hodge, obviously for Hawthorn, Murphy for the Dogs. Possibly last game for both of them, but definitely for one of them. Which way does it go?
I think the Dogs will win this one, Smythe. I think, yeah, the Hawks, bit too inconsistent this year for me, and although the Dogs lost to Port last week by 17 points in Ballarat, I think the Dogs will be too strong. This
one surprised me a bit because they met in round 12. Collingwood in 13th spot, Melbourne in 7th. Well done to Melbourne to get into the finals. Terrific for them. They met in round 12. Melbourne won this one by 4 points. So the indicators are this is going to be a tight one.
Yeah, definitely. And Collingwood have been playing some good footy lately as well, of course. So this, again, will be a close one. But I think Melbourne want to take some confidence going into the finals, and I think the D's will be too strong.
Hey, just quickly, not talking about Buckley staying, going, any of that stuff that's been discussed and been decided on. Do you think Buckley's handled himself unbelievably well this year? Every press conference it's been asked. Yeah. Any time you pick up the paper, it's been debated. I think he's been terrific in the way he's dealt with the scrutiny that he's been under this season. Yeah, spot on, Smythe. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, every week there's been talk about him. Whenever Collingwood lose a game, is Buckley safe? They win a game and he's okay. It's been like that sort of season, hasn't it? And yeah, I think he's been really good considering, and yeah, full marks to him. And I'm crossing my fingers that they can keep him on now for a couple of years, because I think they've got a good list, and they have had a few injuries this year as well. And they've shown some good signs. Like there's been a couple of games where they've lost real close ones, so that where they are on the ladder doesn't necessarily show the season they've had. So, all right, probably the only game that doesn't matter this weekend. Brisbane in 18th spot, North Melbourne in 17th at the Gabba.
Here's another story about a team that's done quite well this year. I know Brisbane and the Kangaroos are near the bottom of the ladder, but I think the signs for Brisbane are really good going forward in the future. And some of the young guys are starting to play some really good football. They've signed up some guys, which shows that the club is heading in the right direction. Chris Hagan's doing some good things there. So I think Brisbane will win this one at the Gabba against the Roos. All
right, the SCG on Saturday night. Sydney sitting in 6th spot, seem almost unstoppable at the moment. Carlton in 15th spot, had a good win over the Hawks on the weekend. They say a week's a long time in footy. Well, what about half a year? They met in round 6, if you can believe it or not. Yeah. Carlton winning that game by 19 points. If you look at the ladder now, that couldn't be more opposite.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good win by the Blues. And, of course, yeah, we all sort of thought, oh, Sydney season's over, and hasn't it been a turnaround for them? And they had a great win against the Crows last week. Adelaide Oval, which is, a hard team to beat at the best of times this year. So, for me, Sydney by a country mile, I think, and they'll be wanting to take some confidence going into the finals, Smythe.
All right, this may be the game of the round without doubt. And other ones have got pivotal parts to them. But Saturday night, Geelong sitting in 3rd spot. They're at Skilled Stadium, up against GWS in 2nd spot. They met back in round 15, a draw, 10-8 to 10-8. I mean, does Skilled give them that much advantage? Geelong have won the last 2 games. GWS have won their last 4.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. If Joel Selby was playing for Geelong, I'd say, I'd pick the Cats, but I reckon GWS are going to win this one. I've just got a funny feeling. I don't think Geelong were very convincing against Collingwood last week. GWS is starting to get their best team together on the park. Like Cameron came back in last week. So I think GWS for me in a very close one.
Yeah, I think GWS might get as well. Saturday night, Metricom, your team, the Power in 5th spot. Gold Coast in 16th. They met in round 8, I think it was, and Port beat them by 72 points. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be any different.
Yeah, that was the game in China, of course, the historic one, and this one at the Adelaide Oval. Port, have to take some confidence going into the finals, and I think they'll win by a fair bit. Gold Coast, of course, missing Ablett and Lynch and Barlow from their season-ending injuries. So, yeah, I think Port will be too strong.
It's interesting because we just talked about the Sydney-Carlton matchup. If you look at Sunday, Essendon in 8th spot, Freo in 14th. You wouldn't believe it when they met this year that Freo won.
Yeah, you're right.
So again, that was back in round 7. So it just changes so quickly over the course of the start of a year. You'd imagine that Essendon have got this one comfortably.
Yeah, I think so. The Freo have lost 2 games now by 100 plus points, and yeah, I mean, whilst they're wanting to improve on the last couple of weeks, I still think Essendon will be too strong. Yeah. 2
teams that are hard to predict. I mean, Richmond sitting in 4th spot, St Kilda in 10th. It's at the MCG. St Kilda got them in the last game by 9 points. That was back in round 16, so perhaps not as long into the year. But you don't know which St Kilda team's going to turn up, and it's getting hard to judge which Richmond team might. Richmond were amazing last week with their percentage boosting win.
Yes.
Richmond or St Kilda?
Yeah, Richmond have got too much on the line here, Smythe. Of course, I want them to lose so Port can sneak into that top 4 position. But no, I think the Tigers and Poppy's mob will be too strong against the Saints. Mind you, it's going to be Rewalt's last game, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints put up a decent performance.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, the Tigers will be too strong.
All right, last game of the round, West Coast Eagles in 9th spot. The Crows are in 1st spot. It's at Domain. The only thing that's probably in this game that we think the Crows will win is that last year West Coast knocked the Crows over and put them out of the 4 in this game. So there's a little bit of redemption, and I reckon it'll come up in pre-game discussion.
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to not pick the Crows at the moment. I mean, I know they lost to Sydney last week, but they really should have won that game if they'd kicked straight. So the Crows for me, in a close one, I don't think it'll be too one-sided, but yeah, Crows for me. All
right, interesting time of the year. Coaches going into the finals, other teams starting to jettison play. A lot of talk going on about who's going where. Any gossip this week?
Well, interesting about that, Smythe. I've heard a few different things. I've heard that Sean Burgoyne might be going to Port next year. Same kind of thing that Sam Mitchell did with West Coast this year, as maybe an assistant coach, playing coach, and then going forward, stay at the club for a while. And then also, I've heard a couple of other things that Port might be chasing, like Steve Motlop.
Yep.
And also Jack Watts is out of contract now. I've heard that Port wouldn't mind a Jack Watts because they're looking for that, tall forward to help out Charlie Dixon. So watch this space.
Watch this space. Watson, Dixon, Burgoyne, mate. You're building a championship team with your team, Port Power. I don't mind telling you. Time for us to go. I hope you've enjoyed the show, everybody. Look forward to your company next week. Bye for now.